fermentation, beneficial insects, alternative chemicals that are perhaps less toxic, like soap. So less toxic or hippie-friendly chemicals.
What's in soap?
You know, I don't want to get carried away with that one because technically there are some concerns about diatomaceous. Yeah.
What about like crop crops or even like, I guess.
We call them sacrifice crops.
Yeah, like genetic engineering kind of.
Two separate things. Let's talk about one at a time. There's this concept of giving your sacrifice crop. Like, oh, I know that aphids like to eat artichokes, so I'll grow broccoli, which they like even more, as a way to keep the aphids distracted, keep them off the artichokes. So a sacrifice crop. Strategically, that may not be a good idea because you do bring in more bugs overall. But at times, I've heard farmers use this successfully. There's also genetically modified crops that promise you will need less pesticide. I have to tell you, there are other concerns about genetically modified crops. So this is a solution that may be a worse problem. But yes, genetically modified foods offer an alternative to pesticides. Sometimes. And then there's this thing called IPM, Integrated Pest Management, which is essentially a mix of everything I've said so far, trying all those different ideas instead of just shooting out the pesticides first. What about alternatives to chemical fertilizer? Yes? Manure, absolutely. Remember that manure doesn't wash away as quickly, and it also improves soil quality structurally. It improves soil structure, makes it easier. Other alternatives to chemical fertilizers?
The plants with like the clover and then water over clover.
That's right, that thing with the clover. We call these nitrogen-fixing plants, even though you all understand that it's actually the bacteria, right? I'm sorry, I didn't get a confirmation on that.
Yeah.
Everybody understands that it's the bacteria, right?
Yeah.
People also call that green manure or soil builder crops. All that is the same. Stuff you grow to mix into the dirt to add nutrients. So green manure, soil builders, cover crop, nitrogen fixing crops, all the same idea. Clover's an example of that. Other alternatives? Yeah?
What's the solution planting like plants that are already kind of grown?
That was for insects. It was like so that they can't.
Well, transplanting instead of direct seeding has a lot of benefits. Not really an alternative to fertilizer, though. And we could talk about that agricultural practice, but it's actually not the major distinction between the two types. Some other time we should talk about this, but it doesn't fit 30 minutes. Somebody else? Another yes?
I know this is kind of gross, but like manure or bio, I think they're called like biosolids or something.
Yeah. You might mean a night soil, which is like the leftover after waste treatment of human poop. First of all, we can't actually use night soil very much anymore because your poop is too toxic to make it a fertilizer now. Wastewater treatment cannot remove the heavy metals from your diet or the medications from your bloodstream. So by now, most of the fertilizer that you can make with human poop is unfit to use for human food. That's new. Historically, human poop was a fine fertilizer. But now our bodies have so much leftover trace toxicity turning all of Santa Barbara's poop into a barrel full of fertilizer. It's just too gnarly. But manure, like animal manures, especially for vegetarian animals, like horses, chickens, cows, that seems to work pretty well.
And is there like not enough compost? Should there be like
Well, wherever you can get compost, it's a good alternative to fertilizer. Globally, there's probably not enough compost to replace all chemical fertilizer, but it is an alternative, absolutely. We've used a lot of compost on the right of that table. One thing that nobody has mentioned yet is crop rotation. By changing what you grow, you need less fertilizer because imagine if you grow corn after corn after corn after corn, you're going to run out of the corn food. But if you grow tomatoes after corn, the soil nutrients needed by tomatoes may be different than those needed by corn. So you need less fertilizer if you're giving the dirt a chance to recover corn chemicals while the tomato is growing. Does that make sense? And did you have one?
Oh yeah, well this is more of like a structure, like soil structure
Which one?
distinction. They talk about planting avenues of trees to prevent the Dust Bowl effect.
Oh, good. We'll come back to this because we're going to talk about erosion next. So ways to limit erosion on the right? Yeah? Terracing is one way. Yep. Strip windrows, strip farming, people call that. When you grow those protective strips along the edges.
How is that different between the large scale and the small scale?
Large scale people can do that. The funny thing is that with really large spots, the economy of scale makes more sense if it's a large field of the same thing. So industrial agriculture tends to be as much as you can possibly grow of one thing. But in strip farming, you're going to alternate, like the stripes on a flag. So when you cut down the corn, you still have tomatoes standing to retain soil, provide wind protection. Alley cropping, like we do in the third world to put up wind blocks to prevent desiccation. Mostly a way to stretch a limited water supply, but yeah, manure is a way to limit erosion. It adds soil. Yeah. Cover crop, yep. Anybody else? So soil-living crops, strip planting, terracing. To avoid overgrazing, you can use native grasses in the rangeland. And polyculture instead of monoculture. Huge benefit. Anything else for 33? Okay. I'd like to start on the next movie, which is about fish farming. A while ago, we started to think that fish farming would be a great solution. Like, hey, we can grow food better than nature. Why don't we just grow fish better than nature? But it turns out it's a really sticky wicket.
There are known to be less fish.
I think we can probably say
But consumption of fish